Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So, a couple of people have been asking for me to do another team versus video, so I figured, you know, we could go ahead and knock one out before Tanabata officially starts. So what we do with this video is I just went ahead and did two teams. Now, when I first was doing this series, I was doing like the, you know, like the time slot. So, if I would have done it the same way I did it before, it would have been Cell Max versus Int Spirit Bomb Goku. Because, you know, when I was doing these videos before, I was doing, again, the release, you know, versus the release from a year prior is kind of the way I was doing it. And, I mean, bro, like, I don't know. So I figured, like, just like a superhero versus super bosses type thing might work well. By the way, our opening rotation, we got really bad luck. But luckily, Physical Ultimate Gohan, he does have guard and you know, we could have gotten a little bit unluckier with Kid Buu overloading attacks on slot 1, and we could have died there without counterplay besides hitting a potential system dodge. It does unfortunately happen, right? But, you know, it is what it is. We had 4 dominant slot 1 characters, all in the other rotations. Now, keep in mind that the superhero team we're using, by the way, does have a large advantage in stats. That's the difference between Beast Gohan's status as a Dokkanfest LR and Cell Max's status as just a Yellow Coin LR. Again, I would say Beast Gohan and Cell Max have similar levels of power, with Beast being just a little bit better, because Beast is tilted more better defensively, whereas Cell Max is tilted better offensively. And you guys know how it is, defense is always better than offense, right? Defense wins championships. We know how it is. But keep in mind, in this video, I mean, you could just look at the difference between HP, and, I mean, some of that, of course, is the loss of stats from, rather than doing double Broly, we have a Broly as a lead, and then we have a friend, LR Cell Max, which is definitely the recommended way to play the Super Bosses team. Now, I did record the superhero runs first, and then I did Super Bosses after. I actually recorded these while I was hanging out while Goresh was streaming the Elden Ring DLC. So, you know, we'll see. We're only going to do 2 fights in this one. I mean, I could make these longer. Certainly I could. Like, maybe we could go, you know, I don't know, we turn this into a long video, an hour and a half, where we take 2 teams side by side, go through a lot of different events and stuff like that. I do, like, if a team would die, I would leave that in, right? So, like, I wouldn't, like, be like, okay, like, so, like, that would have been really funny if we would have just instantly started and then our superhero lineup would have died. That would have been pretty, you know, again, funny as hell. But, like, this is why superhero is just so dominant. It's so important to be very strong right away. And Beast, UI, and Vegeta can't take damage at the start of the fight. Like, all 3 of them are invincible. That's the power of superhero, is that you have 4 characters who aren't good turn 1. They're not great turn 1. They are literally invincible turn 1. I guess Vegeta, if he's in, like, slot 1 and the boss supers right away, and it's, like, Cell Max, like, he can take damage or something like that, sure. But, like, remember, Vegeta is guarding his first turn. So, guarding with 50% damage reduction, and he can get good stats. Like, he's, again, borderline invincible. And UI Goku has 100% dodge. And then Beast Gohan is at, you know, what, 80% damage reduction with guard or whatever the hell he's at. Like, it just gets ridiculous, right? Like, all these characters together are just, like, unstoppable juggernauts, really. Okay, so we're gonna get through the STR Kid Buu phase in a second here. Rotations were, you know, they weren't the greatest for superhero turn 1, but both, like, sides, it looked good in terms of dealing with STR Kid Buu's super attack, right? I've had, with a lot of, if you're not using one of the top setups, STR Kid Buu, like, his super can be really threatening. Broly is pretty solid, though. Like, turn 1 Broly, I knew I could put him in slot 3 right there, and Broly would be completely safe. We wouldn't really have any problems. By the way, Vegeta dodging, of course. Reminder that I don't have shenanigans on Vegeta. My Vegeta does not have dodge or anything like that, yet he dodges, like, every second, despite the fact that I do not have dodge on him. I can't explain it. It's just what Vegeta does. Vegeta's like, I'm going to just dodge constantly. All right, so we get to Int Kid Buu. Remember, Int Kid Buu is where things get kind of nasty. So we're going to use the active skill with LR Ultimate Gohan right here. It's really good. By the way, keep in mind, I'm pretty sure, because Kid Buu does not super right here, pretty sure Gohan does attack break Kid Buu's super attack on this turn. Kid Buu not attacking right away, by the way, will lower Beast Gohan's damage quite a bit. Because remember, Beast Gohan, this is where Superhero, we have all these monster characters, but a lot of melee attacks. To be fair, though, it's going to affect super bosses as well. Because Cell Max, his big 18-key super, 30 million, is going to hit and do a ton of damage to Kid Buu. But the rest of what Cell Max is doing here gets blocked. So, like, look at the damage Cell Max is doing that Kid Buu just says, like, no to. It's so crazy. Oh, well, we did get a bunch of normals right there. That's actually good. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking of Cell Max on the next turn. You guys are the next turn, I think we get the 5 super turn from Cell Max on the next turn. But it's just like he does a ton of damage and then blocked is all we're gonna see. Super Easy Goku Black, of course, is pretty effective here. Ki Blast Super, plus he does debuff. The new Super Bosses team with Cell Max actually works so effortlessly against Kid Buu. But, I mean, when you take a character of Beast Gohan's level and just drop them on any team, the team is going to change overnight. And that's exactly what happened to Super Bosses. Because, essentially, I mean, Cell Max is not quite as good as Beast Gohan, but they did essentially just add Beast Gohan to Super Bosses. So it makes Super Bosses just ridiculous here. So what we're going to be able to do here is we can go ahead and pop Rosé's Domain. This obviously is going to give massive buffs to Cell Max. Sorry. Then we could pop Cell Max's active skill attack, and we'll be able to drop the big huge damage, and then he'll get his 18 key, right? And it does just generally look super good. On the superhero side, Blue Kaioken, Evolution Blue Vegeta, they are doing a lot of attacks. They're able to do a lot of damage. Remember that all their super attacks do debuff Kid Buu as well, which is another thing that can be very, very good. Kid Buu is definitely a tough fight. But when we're coming in with, some of the best setups we potentially can run, the way we kind of are here, you guys can see how we just, again, are dominating this fight, right, on both sides. All right, so here's Cell Max's attack. Remember, I mean, if we compare this directly to Beast Gohan, he will be able to tank, he gets the target mechanic, but Cell is actually going to drop potentially, if you crit, a lot of times this does like 20 million, 25 million damage, something like that with a crit. It does huge, massive amounts of damage. And it is, of course, a Ki Blast Super as well, so that Cell Max can't block it. One other thing I do need to point out here, too, a lot of times you'll see people, again, it does kind of stem from inexperience. By the way, we don't use UI Goku's active because it's just a melee, so Kid Buu will block it. But people will say, like, oh, Gogeta has a better active than Beast. His taunt is better. And while it is technically true, I will take Beast Gohan's 100 times out of 100 because Beast has his up essentially the entire fight, whereas Gogeta's it's tough to see. You need really good RNG, which we did get, where Gogeta turn 1, you float him, turn 4, next turn 6, and then he could use his taunt. That's why Cell Max and Beast are head and shoulders better than Gogeta, because Gogeta does not, both sides right there. We just have the freaking, so stupid. But okay, so I guess it's in 2 turns. I definitely had a turn here where, like we did a million supers, and it was just constantly blocked by Kid Buu. Maybe it was that last turn I was thinking of, but it was just like blocked. That stupid melee shit that he does. Yup, over here, Gogeta doing that. But yeah, again, that's the difference between Gogeta and Beast and Cell Max, is Beast and Cell Max, they're going to have theirs up much earlier. This fight, dude. If Kid Buu didn't do this, by the way, he would be pathetic. Because it's like, you see how much damage we do that's just 0? They've actually made our characters now so broken, so busted, so capable of doing so much damage. No, this is the turn. Yeah, this is the turn I was thinking of. Look at the overall damage Cell Max does right here, right? Like, someone the other day said Broly does the most damage in the game. Not the fuck anymore, he doesn't. Broly does not do this on turn 4. Sorry. No, he doesn't. So, no, I'm gonna, it's like, outside of Red Zone movie boss rush, Cell Max is going to be putting up more damage on the board than Broly in basically every fight. Right? Again, don't really pay too much mind to the APT nonsense, really. Alright, so at this point, pretty much both runs are clinched at this point. We could use Evolution Blue Vegeta's active skill, the Final Explosion. Remember that this is not anything. This is not, believe it or not, this is not a Ki Blast attack that Vegeta does. So when GT Red Zone boss rush is a thing, we could do this against Super 17. Super 17 would not block it. GT Boss Rush is probably going to be the hardest fight in the game when it drops, because you're going from Rildo locking, Grade 8 Baby AoE, Super 17 Ki Blast Super, Ice Shenron is locking, and then Omega is probably just going to be the strongest overall boss in the game, I would imagine, when GT Boss Rush comes. Probably for worldwide, right? Like, it looks like GT could be worldwide, and then GT, Boss Rush as well is going to be really, really nasty. So we're pretty much right here, pretty much about the same level. I believe Cell Max, yeah, Cell Max is going to be able to just straight up finish right here his attacks. This is going to cause the Super Bosses team to move a little bit ahead, right, in terms of kind of like this, this run right here. Okay, so we're going to move to the next fight. So I wanted to get a second fight in here, obviously. Now, when I'm just kind of like recording and stuff like that, like I don't really have like a timer in my head. Like, like I finished this fight right there, and until I see the number at the end, I'm not really 100% sure exactly how long the fight itself has taken me, right? Like, I don't super know. So I wanted to jump into a fight that maybe could potentially take a decent amount of time, and maybe a fight I don't do too much. Lately, I've done a lot of the fights, but remember, there's Dragon Ball Super Movie Memorial, Red Zone Movie Boss Rush 2, like there's so many different types of events. So I actually hopped into Red Zone Beerus. I figured this would be a good fight for it. Now, if you guys notice, I still brought Broly, Chila, and Limo with us here. It's because, remember, I did the superhero run first, and we killed Beerus before Beerus even transformed into his rage mode. And I was like, oh, okay. So when I do this, the Super Bosses run, I could just bring Broly, Chila, and Limo, because I'm sure we will kill Beerus before Beerus will punish Broly, Chila, and Limo. Because remember, Beerus, there's two phases to Beerus. There's the int phase, which we're in right now with Super Bosses, and then he goes into his rage mode. His rage mode is really nasty, by the way, which we see, because we're going to see in a second, but he does super Cell Max and hits Cell Max for 350k damage. He hits Cell Max for. I was blown away. Beerus hits so hard, right? I don't know that we know the actual damage of what Beerus does. It's hard to see because Beerus does his territory is up. So it's hard to see the exact damage he does. But remember that Beerus is canceling dodge as well. It says Beerus's damage is 2.2 million. He has no super attack effect. But then when you counter in, again, he gets a huge buff from his territory. So I don't know exactly how much damage Beerus does. But considering he hits Cell Max for 350k in a couple of seconds, Beerus is really done. I think it's this Cell Max too, mine. Remember, he builds up by getting hit. So we have him nearly built up defensively, and Beerus still does 350k. So Beerus is scary. I don't really do... The thing is that some of these bosses that are only two phases, potentially, like this Beerus fight, it's very difficult for it to be an actual competitive fight with how good our characters are turn one. Beast, UI, Evolution Blue, Vegeta, like a lot of these characters. So it's like Beerus, like we just kill him, like, before we get a chance, like we get a chance to see where he's really scary, which is what happens. Well, because I guess, yeah, Beerus isn't even, technically, this isn't even a two-phase fight. Beerus only has 1 HP bar. How much health does he have? Beerus only has 115 million HP, yeah. For Beerus to be a tough fight, that needs to be jumped up to like 200 million or something like that. And then this would be a significantly tougher fight at that point. But remember, all damage we do to Beerus like this just carries over. Now, somehow, again, with the superhero team, we just do massive amounts of just straight damage to him without getting, I guess, a ton of additionals. Because what happens with Beerus is every attack you do, right, builds up his fury gauge. So on the superhero side of things, on turn 3, he is not in rage mode for superhero. But turn 3 for super bosses, he does go into his rage mode. I'm not super sure exactly how Beerus' rage mode builds up. I think it's just by attacks that you do, I think. It's just what it is, which would make sense, right? Like Cell Max, is just going to attack 50 times per turn. right? And we have Broly as well, who's going to do 50 attacks and stuff like that. And his rage meter is just going to get built up in 2 seconds, right? But look at the damage Cellmax is doing right here, right? Like, this is like, it's just, like, it's just kooky. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's so crazy how much damage Cellmax can really put up. In though, like, you know, people will say, oh, Cellmax only has his 3-turn intro. Bro, the amount of money you're making in those 3 turns where Cellmax has his intro, man. Like, everything is dead instantly. Nothing can do anything to him. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, right? So, yeah, remember, I mean, my Cellmax was on turn 1, so he still has his intro up right here. Oh, okay. He didn't have Big Bad Bosses up, though, because I believe what I do is I put Cellmax slot 1, I put Broly slot 2, and Broly, Chai, and Lemo slot 3. Remember, Broly, Chai, and Lemo are dead. They're fish here. But, I mean, I was confident that I would kill Beerus before he would get a chance to hit Broly, Chai, and Lemo, which is exactly what happens. So I'm curious how I want to see what support I give to Broly, Chai, and Lemo. Do I just give them offensive support? Or probably offensive support is what I give, right? I probably just go for that AGL orb. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Because I knew, like, there's no way Beerus is going to kill Cellmax right away, although he does do a lot of damage. And then we're going to be able to just finish this off right there. And then, remember, again, I did the superhero run first. When I got to this turn right here, he was dead. I was like, oh, yeah, this is done. Like, you're probably just going to be done, so get out of here. And then Cellmax and Broly will combine to finish Beerus off. So, there we go. There is another one of these team versus. Again, I kind of just did, like, the relevant teams right now. I mean, superhero, it's not like they've gotten a ton of buffs recently or anything like that, but, you know, Beast Gohan versus Cellmax did kind of make sense for one of these return team versus videos. I don't know, maybe I'll do one, like, for the global anniversary, maybe I'll do, like, Carnival Gogeta versus Broly, where I'll just do, like, their 2 leader skills against each other or something like that. I think certainly I could do that. That could definitely be fun. I'm sure you guys wanted that. Again, people ask me to, I've seen, you know, comments, you know, it's like, you know, people will do, all right, day 1 of Asking Truth for this, and then they keep it going. And it's like, all right, you know, you've been consistent with it, so I'll give you what you want. All right, like, we'll do it. Sure. One of these, I mean, these are fun to make, right? I do enjoy seeing, like, 2 top-tier teams fighting alongside each other. And again, remember, I mean, you know, a week ago, I'm saying Super Bosses sucks, it's terrible. I mean, dude, they dropped, Cellmax is actually so good that that's gone, that's done. That's done. Super Bosses is that, Cellmax is that good. Like, I do still see quite a bit of downplay of Cellmax, but I try, you know, no offense, but it's inexperience with people saying that. Because it's like, there's no way you could look at what Cellmax does and just say, oh, he's not that good. Like, it's just, it's pure insanity. So, there we go. By the way, that 5:15 timer you see, that was the superhero run right there. So, there we go. Superheroes, Super Bosses, these teams are really nasty. Was a pretty easy challenge to do. Let me know if you guys want me to do another one of these team versus. Again, maybe I could. Maybe, depending upon what the Tanabata LR is, I could do this year's LR versus last year's, which is LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku's aged really badly, though, so I don't know. I mean, we've had a significant jump from 2023 to 2024, so let me know what you guys think. I'll catch y'all next time.